Our programs offer many languages. Please visit suprememastertv.com/schedule.
Nos programmes offrent plusieurs langues. Veuillez visiter suprememastertv.com/schedule.
Nuestros programas ofrecen varios idiomas. Visiten suprememastertv.com/schedule.
Наши программы предлагают много языков. Пожалуйста, посмотрите suprememastertv.com/schedule.
Love, and only love, is the source of sustenance for the soul. Please continue watching to find out more.
A good diet is the most powerful weapon we have against disease and sickness. Dr. T. Colin Campbell, vegan, on the vegan diet.
Pe'eakwe means how are you in Cook Islands Maori. I'm Amiri. The wholehearted people of Cook Islands are thrilled by your high-spirited sharing of the vegan way of life. May you ever rejoice in God's love for all beings. Man is not forsaken on earth. He is a child of God, engaged in constructive work, temporarily clothed in flesh. He is a student in a meritorious school, where he must learn to raise himself up. The human struggle is his opportunity, his set of tools, and his textbook. How childish to imagine that the mere ringing down of the curtain, physical death, would settle transcendental questions of the infinite. One life is but a single act, one body a garment, one century a day, one task an experience, one triumph an acquisition, one death a breath of renovation. How many lives, how many bodies, how many centuries, how many tasks, how many triumphs, how many deaths are still allotted to us? These astounding messages from the spirits, via a human medium, convey the message of Spiritism. Spiritism emerged in the mid-19th century through the findings and philosophy of French educator Hippolyte Léon Denisard Reveil, also known by the pen name Allan Kardec. Contemporaries of Allan Kardec included Spiritist philosopher Leon Denis and renowned author Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. According to the principles of Spiritism, God is the supreme intelligence, eternal and all good. The human soul, while destined for ultimate perfection, must undergo successive incarnations of spiritual progress based on effort. Thus, the Spiritist's goal is to explore the nature, origin, and destiny of the soul, often through afterlife communication as conveyed via a human medium. These afterlife insights, including an understanding of the soul's immortality, have been transcribed into Spiritist books. One such volume is No Solar, or Astral City, conveyed by Spirit André Louise through Spiritist medium Francisco Candido Javier. Francisco Candido Javier was a Brazilian philanthropist who co-authored more than 400 books, donating all proceeds to charity. One of his more famous works, Astral City, describes a spiritual society as stated from the afterlife by former medical doctor André Louise. Astral City describes not only the continuation of life beyond the physical body, but more importantly, how heaven cares for each and every human soul. The following excerpts from Astral City emphasize love as the transformative principle that uplifts all souls in the universe. Chapter 18. Love, the Food of Souls. As soon as the prayer was over, Laura invited me to the evening meal, which consisted of invigorating broth and fragrant fruits, which tasted more like a delicious blend of concentrated fluids. I heard Laura remark genially, "After all, our meals here are far more agreeable than they were on Earth. We have some districts which dispense with them together, but in the zone of the Ministry of Assistance we can't do so. Here the heavy tasks we perform consume a great deal of our energy. Hence, we are obligated to be continually making provisions of energy. That, however," added one of the young ladies, "doesn't mean that we who work at the Ministries of Assistance and Regeneration are the only ones to depend on food. The other ministries, including Divine Union, don't dispense with it. The only difference in the food is the nature of its substance. In communication and elucidation, fruit is widely used, while in elevation, juices and concentrated fluids are more common. As for the Ministry of Divine Union, the process of nutrition goes beyond the imagination." Eager for immediate explanations, I shifted my gaze from Lysias to his mother. Everybody smiled at my natural perplexity, but Laura satisfied my curiosity. "You may not be aware, my friend, that love is the major sustaining element for all creatures. From time to time, large delegations of instructors come to visit our city in order to convey the principles of spiritual nutrition. Love is the fundamental basis of all systems of nourishment in the different spheres of life. Physical diet, properly considered, is always a question of transitory materiality even here, as in the case of the earthly machines that need grease and oil. Love, and only love, is the source of sustenance for the soul. The more we ascend along the evolutionary plan of creation, the more thoroughly we understand that great truth. Don't you think that divine love is the mainspring of the universe?" Those explanations comforted me considerably, and Lysias added, "God's infinite love is the center of equilibrium of all creation. The more evolved the created beings, the subtler their processes of nutrition. The worm in the ground feeds mainly on earth. Larger animals find the necessary elements for nourishment in plants. Man gathers the fruits of these plants and prepares them according to his taste. We, who are already free of our physical bodies, need fluidical, juicy substances. The process becomes even more delicate as we advance in our ascent. But we mustn't forget the question of vehicles," Laura added, "for after all, worms, animals, man and ourselves depend exclusively on love. We all move about in it, and no existence would be possible without it." Don't you remember the gospel lesson which says, "Love one another"? When Jesus taught this principle, he didn't refer only to charity in its strictest sense, for we shall all have to learn, sooner or later, that the practice of good is simply a duty. He meant us to understand his words in a broader sense, that is, to sustain one another through brotherly love and sympathy. Sometime in the future, man on earth will discover that friendly words, mutual kindness and trust, understanding and fraternal interest, all fruits of deep love, are stimulating nourishment to life itself. When on earth, burdened by a physical body, we are under great limitation, but on returning here we realize that lasting and harmonious happiness is a question of purely spiritual sustenance. Homes, villages, towns and nations are formed in obedience to such principles. Instinctively, I remembered the sex theories so widespread in the physical world, but Laura, recognizing my thoughts, remarked, "You mustn't imagine that it is merely a sexual phenomenon. Sex is a sacred manifestation of universal and divine love, but it is only one of the many expressions of its infinite potential. With the more spiritualized couples, tenderness and trust, mutual devotion and understanding count far more than physical union, which is reduced to merely a transitory activity between them. It is magnetic exchange that establishes the necessary rhythm for the manifestation of harmony. The mere presence of the loved one, and sometimes a simple understanding, is sufficient to nourish a feeling of joy. Availing herself of a lull in the conversation, Judith added, "We learn here in the Astral City that love is the hub of life on Earth, yet most people never realize that important truth. Twin souls, kindred souls, and sympathetic souls form numerous pairs and groups. By gathering together and assisting one another, they succeed in advancing along the road to redemption. When, however, help is lacking, a weaker person usually fails before completing the journey. As you see, my friend," remarked Lysias, "even here we are reminded of the gospel lesson, man shall not live by bread alone. The ties of love are stronger and more beautiful here. Love, my friend, is the divine bread of the soul, the sustenance of the heart."
Vegan, 'cause there's no better way to show that we are humane.
Warm-hearted viewers, we appreciate your company today for words of wisdom. May you always cherish the purity of your spirit in the abundance of wondrous blessings from heaven.
Our programs offer many languages. Please visit suprememastertv.com/schedule and suprememastertv.com/WOW.